Good afternoon, and thank you so much for having me here. And I would like to thank Shabir and Gitanjali for relentlessly pursuing and making me come all the way to Delhi. I'm based out of Pune. That's quite a comfort zone for me. So thank you so much. Yeah, making a bad building is a sin. I totally agree. How do you make the whole country and the citizens of this country recognize a bad building is a bigger question. And that's the journey that I would like to take going forward. I'm already on that journey. ये बिल्डिंग रास्ते से आप जा रहे हो और आपको दिखाई दे बैड बिल्डिंग, उसका फोटो निकाल के डाल देना, ये बैड बिल्डिंग है. Building without chhajja is a bad building. A residential building which has got glass up to your, where you're standing is a bad building. A glass in residential building is bad for your health. Okay, so you really as a person, as a human being need to understand what a bad building. And that's where our journey stands. It's about the passive first approach. Next slide. So we started long time back, and Mahindra Lifespaces in way back in 2014 the leadership had declared that we'll have a 100% green portfolio. So every building that we'll do will be certified. The reason for that is you use certification as a mechanism for driving action, right? And when you drive action internally, you start transitioning into you start designing better. And of course, at that time, it was possible to design good buildings because there was, the FSI game had not kicked in, right? So one of the challenges that we are currently facing is twofold. It's actually a lot of concrete and glass plus FSI. And now try building a good building. So that's where the challenge is. And we went ahead and said in 2020 that we will have, by 2030, anything that we make would be designed to be net zero. So we are a developer. So design net zero means whatever you do, it should be designed net zero. In 2022, this is India's first high-rise residential multi-family net zero design building. And it's Eden. It is a beautiful location. When I went to the site first, I felt that यहाँ पे कुछ बनना ही नहीं चाहिए. तो मुझे हर साइट पे ऐसा फील होता है. And my office may not like it, but when deals don't go through, the land deals don't go through on very green sites, I am the one who is very happy. चलो बच गए. But then हमसे बचे, किसी और से बचे क्या? That is the question. So it's so this is zero, the next big thing, and we took it actually in the consumer language, and that's what my our marketing team did, because I wouldn't have been able to do that. क्योंकि मैं तो वो बोलूँगी ना scope 1, scope 2, scope 3. Customer को क्या पता scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 क्या है? The marketing team actually leveraged and changed the way we communicate, and that's when I started realizing that communication is the game here. That if zero is not the next big thing, then what is? And sometimes zero and doing nothing is the best thing for sustainability. So zero is it. It is zero. And it was very difficult to do two things here. Not the design part, it is Bangalore, and it helped us. We could actually get a very good, get an adherence to the Econivas Samhita, RETV of below 15. We, of course, had a good design because chhajje the. And a lot of vertical and horizontal shading, and we were able to get that. So Bangalore, as you know, has got deteriorated over the ages, right? And मन नहीं करता है Bangalore में रहने का, क्योंकि you will encounter traffic, a lot of urban greens taken over with housing societies and so on. And of course, over 1,000% increase in population, and all of them are not. They are all, it's a very Cosmo kind of a crowd, and if, the IT sector could be attributed to the deterioration of Bangalore and Pune, I perhaps feel that it is true, because that's what has got the population in. So a lot of challenges. We were looking at heat gain from glass, And since it was fully designed, the intervention on the sill, we always fight on kitna ye hona chahiye. Apart from the chhajja, the sill, that is where should the window be. And we were able to keep the sill at 750. Ideally, I would have loved it at 1.2 meters because the heat gain due to glass. And then you have to put high performance glass so that the heat gain. So the lesser the glass, the better. And then the space on the roof is limited. And because of the architectural design, we were not able to, fill everything with solar panels. So we had only the Mumpty space. And then we got windmills, and that's an interesting story. This is a small windmill, as many people may have tried early on, realized that it doesn't succeed. We worked with International Institute of Energy Conservation to actually get a viability gap funding through a Swiss development cooperation project to ensure that this runs. It is a viable project. We had to put up a case before the CEO. And we got technical expertise funded from the Building Energy Efficiency Program. So it is not easy for developers to convert this knowledge internally and say that we will do a passive first building. And then we will do, that pyramid which he spoke about, doing it the right way, reducing the energy demand, then doing energy efficiency, and then doing renewable energy integration is the right way. So we got support from the Swiss Development Corporation under BEEP and BEEP RE to get funding, and that made the management get convinced that, okay, it is possible to do it. In fact, we had been working with BEEP for quite some time. So we had evaluated around 10 projects. And I had told GKSPL, Sashwati and team, please be patient with me because I'll have to take this as a business case internally and then convince. So I had actually got very frustrated, and they were frustrated that, nothing is going to happen with Mahindra and we will not get to a net zero building or a passive first building. And then I just told the CEO that I want to show you something and we will design net zero office. So it started with the office, and we showed him that it can be a net positive office. And in that meeting, and he was seeing it for the first time. So he was seeing that, the possibility for the first time. At the end of the meeting, he said, building kar do. So I was like, ab kaise? How do we do this? Because I had never done anything like this before. And then we built up the case for the building, and that's how we said, we look at water, waste and biodiversity. I told you it's a beautiful site. It's got an eco pond, and now my life's mission is to ensure that the plants over there are maintained. So we actually barricaded that whole area through the construction process, and barricaded with high barricade that small area in the middle of the development. Yeah, and that's the impact of the product that we have. Water, we were able to, reduce dependency on fresh water. Carbon emissions mitigated, that's over 2,000 tons of CO2. The biodiversity species over there preserved on site, and over 300 plus trees were preserved on site. Typically, when builders work, they like to do site preparation. You know what site preparation means? Clear kar do, sab kuch nikal do, and they will come back and tell you how difficult it is for them for logistics. To argue, we have inculcated in our site engineers a love for trees. I said, isko bachana aapka duty hai, and we actually honor champions who do chipko at site. So, and so they do because they feel for it. And of course, over 90% diversion of waste away from landfill, plus for the use phase. And in Bangalore, it is possible because in other locations, they will say segregate hi nahi karte. In Bangalore, we'll say, okay, nahi karna padta hai, so we should do it. We also looked at the business impact of this project, and of course it was taken to the consumers and it was launched as zero project, right? And so they like to have nature inspired amenities, the social infra and the infra development, and the fact that it was India's first net zero energy home. And you will see aided and unaided. This is a marketing term, and maybe Gitanjali, you can throw more light in terms of this. So, of course, Mahindra's name helped, but open spaces and great infra is what got us in. And of course, there was a higher, we call it APR, average price realization. So almost looks like that people, if given an opportunity, could potentially pay more for better developments. And overall, if you do the math, 100 rupees to 150 rupees per square feet से ज़्यादा नहीं लगता है sustainability करने के लिए. तो आप अगर आम खा सकते हो 2 Alfonso mangoes या 1 Alfonso mango, you can for your home at least pay this much more to get a better home. Okay, and yeah, so our journey continues. वहाँ पे रुके नहीं हम लोग. So we have done one in Bombay, which is in Kandivali. We went there and we said we'll do net zero waste as well, and that too for construction phase. And Dimpy, I don't know how we'll do it, but we have committed to doing it. And the thing is that construction waste management is a challenge in itself. And diverting away from landfill and doing deconstruction. So the site for Vista is nothing but Mahindra's automotive plant in Kandivali. So one portion of that land is where we have done this 9 acres, and of course another one in Bangalore, which makes it the third project of net zero energy, but that also is going to be net zero waste. Yeah. The average price realization on saleable area and the RNA, these are the numbers that we have. I mean, these are good data points for selling, what people are willing to pay for sustainability. Of course, there is, of course, location ka price. So that you have to factor in. Yeah, so we got a lot of social recognition, and like I said, every human being on earth should know what a bad building is. Because you live in buildings, and you should know that there is no ventilation in your house or no light, and what it can do to your health. Okay, so we of course got great support from Anand Mahindra, and yeah, so this particular project on GNFZ is at Mahindra World City. And Mahindra World City, anybody visited Mahindra World City here? Nobody has visited. You have, yeah. And, yeah, Chennai, Mahindra World City. So it's very green, and it is actually India's first zero waste to landfill city. And don't tell me how we got each of our customer to adhere to it. We actually stopped picking their waste. Like if they were mixed, if it was mixed. And that guy who was in operations, he really, did that. He said, "Nahi pick kara, madam, 5 din ho gaye. Customer is after us." So we could get a list of customers who were not segregating their waste. So that's a zero waste to landfill city. This city has also achieved its science-based target 9 years before the year 2031. So, and then we said, okay, let's look at this office. It's a beautiful, small admin block that we have. And we have our scope 1 and scope 2 emission target on our offices and our operations. And we've been finding it very challenging to actually reduce our scope 1 and scope 2. So while on the product side of things, people agree to it because it is customer facing, what about your operations? So we said, okay, with GNFZ in the picture, we started looking at what all we can do. And I think the assessment and the plan and the kind of commitments, once you put it on a piece of paper and you see the ROI of the total cost of running your operations, then things start moving. And that's the journey that we are on. And yeah, so this is the other full-time work that I do, which is the decarbonization business charter. And this is a consortium where anybody who commits to 6 priority actions here can become part of this platform. It is at no fee basis. It was started initially through funding from Bloomberg Philanthropy, moved on to the Swiss Development Corporation, and now we are looking at GBPN to do very incisive work, and finding what are the roadblocks and challenges with developers for moving towards net zero. So people in the room, please reach out to me. through Gitanjali, if you don't have my contact, and become part of this journey, because this is the journey that you will feel supported, because without material vendors, without architectural firms, without MEP firms, your net zero journey cannot happen. Right? You need everybody, especially on the building envelope. There is a huge amount of work that needs to be done. We really need to design buildings with better envelope. So with that, I end my talk. Thank you so much for listening.